Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, ministers, ambassadors, I would like to thank you for attending this Emergency Security Council meeting, which has been called to address the events of the past 48 hours, which has given us an armed attack by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea upon vessels of the state of Japan, a gross violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention by undercover agents of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, an armed attack upon the United States territory of Guam by the same agents, the destruction of the agents by a joint Commonwealth of Australia, United States of America Naval Patrol, and the threat, once again, of nuclear retaliation by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. This threat of war not only hinders the international order, peace, and security, but also paves the way for countless individuals in the region and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, in particular, to become victims of internal displacement and refugee issues all too common and unsatisfactory in this age of world cooperation. These issues would undoubtedly be exacerbated in the event of war. The Republic of France requests support for this United Nations Security Council resolution, but first shall describe the history which has brought us to this point, both in relation to France's relation with the Korean state and with the United Nations' increasing number of resolutions regarding the Korean Peninsula. The Republic of France maintains a long and distinct history within the peninsula, dating back to the landing of the first French missionary, Pierre Mouban, in 1836. One half of a century later, diplomatic relations between Korea and France will be established with the France-Korea Treaty of 1886. Rooted in friendship, trade, and navigation between our two nations, 6 years following the turn of the century, the promise so beautifully envisioned between France and Korea will come to an end as Korea capitulated to the Empire of Japan, becoming deprived of all diplomatic relations. It would not be until 4 years following the establishment of this body that France would reestablish relations with a sovereign Korea. The government of France will be early in its support for the recognition of the Republic of Korea, a remnant of the divided Chinese-Soviet protectorate in the north and U.S.-French protectorate in the south. The year 1949, which brought the reestablishment of diplomatic relations between Korea and France, would also bring the ignition of the conflict known simply today as Korea. The French would go on to provide thousands of volunteers to the war effort, fighting with unquestionable valor for the people of Korea. 1 in 10 Frenchmen would never return to the homeland of France. Today, France engages in a litany of political, cultural, scientific, economic, social, and diplomatic pursuits in conjunction with the Republic of Korea. These efforts, among other things, include most recently a September state visit by Mr. Benjamin Gravois, French Minister of State. Economically, France is the fourth largest investor in the Republic of Korea and maintains nearly 200 French-owned companies in the service, automobile, transport, high-tech, chemical, and many other industries located within Korea. The area of education and science proves most special between the two countries, as over 6,500 Korean students residing in France as of 2014, studying at many a university and preparing themselves to become the next generation of leaders in Korea. Over 400 partnerships between education systems and university between the two countries has allowed for this endeavor. As you have noticed, there has been no mention of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, commonly referred to as North Korea. It is important that France comes out and makes note that we do not recognize North Korea as a state, nor do we maintain diplomatic relations with the North. What we do maintain, however, is an understanding of the inherent right to human rights, dignity for all, and social progress. It is in this recognition that the Republic of France engages with North Korea in the areas of educational and humanitarian assistance. Our educational cooperation programs include promoting the French language at Kim Il-sung University in Pyongyang, as well as the joint venture between the French School of Asian Studies and the North Korean Bureau for Cultural Properties Conservation, whom in the field of research excavate the site of Kaesong, former capital of the Koro Kingdom, an important cultural location for Korean history. Even farther is the cooperation in the area of humanitarian assistance, as two French NGOs have operated inside of North Korea since the year 2000. France additionally aids the World Food Program and makes a significant contribution through the European Union, approximately 17% of its total budget. Why do I mention this history of cooperation between France and Korea, North and South? It is because what is needed in our present crisis is a proven and neutral arbiter, one who places the interests of the people of Korea rather than the interests of a particular state first. Pity be the person who places sovereign needs ahead of food or school for a young Korean residing above or below the 38th parallel. The expanding sanctions and weapons proliferation which has strangled the Korean Peninsula has proven ineffective. We bring to the Security Council a proposal which places the needs of humans first, in hopes that the human aspect to conflict can draw all sides to the negotiation table. The 6 primary points to the proposal are as follows. Number 1, the Security Council demands that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea cease all nuclear aggressive activities, to include testing and the threat of use, and return to their position of being a state free of nuclear weapons, adhering to relevant international law and United Nations Security Council resolutions, to include resolutions 1718, 1874, 2087, 2094, 2270, 2321, 2356, 2371, and the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Violations pose a grave threat to international peace and security, and United Nations Security Council calls for the North Korean government to proceed with complete, verifiable, and irreversible dismantling of its nuclear program. Number 2, the Security Council requests that the United States and Japan cease all measures related to potential escalation of conflict in the region and with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, releasing all authority, command, and control of negotiations to work towards restoration of regional and international peace and security to the United Nations Security Council, as outlined in Article 5 of the Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security between the United States and Japan. Number 3, the Security Council encourages all parties mentioned above to adhere to disarmament in accordance with the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, to include the reduction and removal of all forces operating within the Korean Peninsula. Number 4, the Security Council calls for the removal of DPRK, Republic of Korea, and U.S. forces from the demilitarized zone in exchange for an established command of United Nations forces. Number 5, the Security Council proposes, in conjunction with a peacekeeping land force, the establishment of a peacekeeping maritime force to patrol freely waters of the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea, to include interior waterways of the DPRK, Republic of Korea, and Japan. And finally, number 6, the Security Council asks that all sides accept, as a moderator on behalf of the United Nations in this conflict, the Republic of France, with negotiations to take place in Paris at the earliest possible date. France has been subject to war, conquest, counter-conquest, revolution, strife, and barbarism for many a millennia, yet peace has never been elusive. We must not forget that our precious Westphalian system is none more than the world's greatest attempt to establish international peace and security, and our precious modern state system. A Frenchman, Cardinal Richelieu, can be attributed to this feat. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of France thanks you for your time and hopes for an expeditious vote that will allow for peace talks and peace restoration in the Asia-Pacific region and on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you.